break in the cold spell. Heavy snow showers in the areas around Kitwood have affected rail traffic, but a strong southwest wind has swept powdered snow on the surrounding hillsides into many rail cuttings, blocking them completely.
It was a cold winter's morning as dawn had barely crept into sheds. James awoke with a start as Gordon let out steam.
Right, Gordon, I'm heading out. A goods train of mine won't go by itself.
Goods train? You? Snorted James. And in this ghastly weather too?
I don't like it either. But people need their supplies. Trains must come through always, little James, no matter the weather.
And he puffed away. The red engine just scoffed. Well, I'd rather not ruin myself in this miserable snowy day, he grumbled to himself. It's Christmas time after all. He was just going back to sleep when his driver woke him up. Come along, James. We're to bring a stopping train of food and medical supplies to the stations. We'll also need to fix a snowplow on too. Me? Protested James. Can't Henry or anyone else do it? If you haven't noticed, you're the only engine available in this shed. Now stop fussing. I hear the snow's only going to get worse unless we go now. So James grumpily collected his goods vans loaded with provisions and supplies. The train was heavy, and the tracks were covered in a thin sheet of ice, which made it hard for him to start. Come on! James groaned. Soon, they set off down the main line. James plowed hard the thick snow that formed over the rails. The wind blew in every direction as patches of white covered his boiler. This made James annoyed and irritated. They arrived at a station to make their first stop. A choir stood by the platform, happily singing their carols and hymns, despite the cold weather. As they unloaded the supplies from James's train, the porters passed around hot drinks and food for the carolers. This cocoa was just what we needed, said the carolers. You've brightened our day, James. Happy Christmas. James couldn't stay cross and let out a smile as he puffed away. But the snowdrifts down the line grew thicker and thicker. It became harder for James to plow through the drifts. He hadn't reached Gordon's Hill yet, but he was already exhausted. He stopped by Edward's station for his second delivery when the station master came up to him. Now, James, I'm afraid there's no engine available to help you up Gordon's Hill. Are you sure you can manage? James knew the climb up the hill would be a challenge, but its driver said, We'll have to make do, old boy. The villagers need their supplies. More than a splendid engine, you're also versatile. James didn't know what that meant, but he knew what he had to do. His fire burned brightly as he started up the hill. He had his share of trouble on this hill many times before, but he was determined that today would be different. Then, the gentle snowfall turned into a fierce blizzard that howled against him. It was as though the wind wanted to throw him off the hill. James stood his ground and pressed on. I must do it! I must do it! It didn't matter to him now if the weather ruined his red coat. He thought of the carolers enduring the cold with their Christmas spirit. I will do it! I will do it! He struggled on, inch by inch. James could no longer see the top of the hill. His wheels ached and his face went redder than his paint. Until at last, with a mighty heave, he made it to the top. James and his train arrived safely. The station master was most relieved. We thought the snowstorm would delay our medical supplies, but you brought it here on time. A wheeze was James's only reply, as he had no steam. The town's doctor was there to receive the supplies. He looked at James and said,
Thank you for braving the weather, James. Bringing these supplies brought renewed hope for the villagers. They weren't kidding when they say you're a really useful and splendid engine. Happy Christmas, James.
James puffed and replied,
A happy Christmas to you, Doc, and to all, a good night.